We're always told fiber is good for us, but the story is so much bigger and honestly way cooler than just keeping you regular. Today we're diving into one specific fiber that has a story that could totally change how you think about sugar and your metabolism.
It sounds completely backward, doesn't it? What if a specific kind of fiber, which is literally made of sugar molecules, could actually protect your body from the harmful effects of another sugar, like fructose? Well, it turns out not all fibers are created equal, and the science behind one in particular, called inulin, reveals this incredible metabolic plot twist that goes way beyond simple digestion. This is a story about how feeding your gut can actually rewire your entire body.
So before we get to the really wild stuff, we've got to cover the basics. What exactly is inulin? Let's quickly go over what it is, what it's made of, and, where you can actually find it.
Okay, the most important thing to get here is that we can't digest it. Our own body, our stomach, and small intestine, they just don't have the right tools to break it down. So it makes this incredible journey all the way to our colon completely intact, where it becomes an absolute feast for the trillions of bacteria living there. And that's what makes it a prebiotic.
Chemically, you can kind of picture it like this. It's basically a long chain of fructose molecules all linked up in a special way. And that special bond is what makes them totally invisible to our digestive enzymes. It's like our bodies just don't have the right pair of scissors to cut them apart.
And the cool thing is, this stuff isn't some rare lab creation. I guarantee you've eaten it without even knowing it. Inulin is found in thousands of plants, but it's really packed into foods like garlic, leeks, and Jerusalem artichokes. Chicory root, though, that's the king. It's the most potent source by far, which is why you see it used all the time to make inulin supplements.
Okay, so we know inulin bypasses our digestion and makes it all the way down to the colon. What happens when it finally gets there? This, my friends, is where the story truly begins.
Unlike us, certain bacteria hanging out in our gut have exactly the right tools to break down and ferment inulin. It's basically their favorite food. But here's the thing. It's a very selective process. Inulin doesn't just feed any old bacteria, it specifically nourishes the good guys.
And this slide just shows it perfectly. Study after study shows that when people consume inulin, they get a huge boost in beneficial species like bifidobacterium. But at the same time, it can help shrink the populations of less desirable bacteria. It's kind of like a VIP bouncer for your gut microbiome, only letting the cool kids in. But here's the kicker. Just feeding the good bacteria? That's only chapter 1. The real magic, the part that impacts your entire body, is what those bacteria do after they've had their feast.
All right, this is it. This is the core of the story. We're about to see how a little party in your gut leads to a profound change in how your liver deals with sugar.
Right. So they're well-fed, they're happy. What happens next? They don't just sit around. They get to work and produce something incredibly important.
These bacteria ferment the inulin, and as a byproduct, they release these things called short-chain fatty acids, or SCFAs. Just think of SCFAs as messages, like little text messages sent from your gut to the rest of your body, to your liver, your brain, your immune cells, telling them how to act.
And this is where the story just gets wild. It's not only about making these beneficial SCFAs, inulin has a direct and, frankly, amazing effect on how your body handles other sugars, specifically fructose, which is, ironically, the very sugar that inulin is made of.
So here's the problem we're dealing with in our modern diet. When you consume a lot of fructose, your small intestine just gets overwhelmed. It can't handle it all. So the excess fructose spills over and floods your liver, which has this really nasty habit of taking it and immediately converting it into fat. This process is a huge driver of fatty liver disease.
This is the crucial intervention. Research shows that when inulin is in the system, that harmful fructose spillover is massively reduced. It's like inulin puts up a shield to protect the liver. But how? It's not just blocking it. Oh no, the mechanism is way more elegant than that. Inulin actively redirects those fructose molecules. It completely changes their destiny. Instead of becoming fat, they become, well, something else entirely.
And there it is, a direct quote from the research. I mean, that's just mind-blowing, right? The very atoms that make up the fructose molecules aren't being used to create fat. They're being rerouted to build the blocks of protein.
Just let that sink in for a second. A dietary fiber is helping your body take a sugar, and instead of turning it into liver fat, it's turning it into amino acids. It is a complete metabolic rewrite. But the story doesn't even stop there. It gets better. Those brand new amino acids aren't just for building any old protein. They are the key ingredients for one of the most important molecules in your entire body.
Okay, let's just recap this unbelievable chain of events. Inulin feeds good bacteria. Those bacteria then help the body take fructose, a potential toxin for the liver, and turn it into the raw materials for glutathione, which is your body's master protector. It is literally turning a problem into a solution.
Okay, I know, that was some pretty heavy science. So let's bring it back down to earth. What does all of this actually mean for you and your health? Well, when you look at the human trials, the benefits really line up with the mechanisms we just talked about. Inulin has been shown to potentially help with short-term weight loss, improve blood sugar control for people with diabetes, and, of course, the classic fiber benefit. It can definitely help with constipation.
Now, it's not all magic. Because inulin is so good at being fermented by those gut bacteria, the main side effects are, well, gas and bloating. This is super dose-dependent. A little bit might be totally fine, but a lot, especially if you jump to over 30 grams a day, can cause some discomfort while your gut bacteria get used to the new feast.
So what's the sweet spot? Well, a lot of the human studies that found these great metabolic benefits used the dose right around 10 grams per day. That seems to be a really good target for getting the good stuff while minimizing the chances of any unpleasant side effects. And if you want to get more inulin from whole foods, how you cook them actually matters. Boiling can cause some of the inulin to leak out into the water, so roasting or sautéing is probably a better bet. And the golden rule for any fiber always is to start low and go slow. Give your gut time to adapt. So we end right where we began, but with a totally new perspective. It's not just about eating fiber. It's about understanding that specific fibers can trigger these precise, powerful, and protective metabolic pathways. In a world that's always telling us to just avoid sugar, maybe the more interesting question is, how can we build resilience against it? And it looks like inulin gives us a pretty fascinating clue.